Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the session. I just want to remind you all that there are two emergency exits to your left. Those are there. And there will be some short videos played right after, and the session will start right after them. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the Emirates Airline Festival of Literature. You are in for a treat because, as always, our lineup includes some of the world's greatest writers, thinkers and performers. But first, we have a few important housekeeping announcements. Face masks must be worn at all times. It should be positioned correctly so it covers your mouth and nose. Food and beverage is only to be consumed in designated areas. Rooms are sanitized between every session. Please stay in your seat and do not try to move the chairs. They have been positioned to comply with current regulations. Exit the room immediately once the session has finished. For audience questions, please come to the microphones positioned on either side of the room. Hand sanitizer is available in multiple locations around the venue. Please use it regularly. Do tell all your friends to come down to the Emirates Lit Fest, but do it after the session. For now, please switch your phones to silent. We thank our title sponsor, Emirates Airline, and our founding partner, Dubai Culture. The session will start after these short sponsor videos. Enjoy.
My name is Baby. I'm Chinese Japanese American. My story Noodle Love has the sweetest memory of my life. It's about the family and the love behind my father's noodle dish.
Namaskar, I'm Anita Shirodkar and I'm from India. My story is about growing up with coastal seafood from the western, specifically Goan and Maharashtra region of India, where I'm from. And I hope that the story piques your curiosity about the lesser known forms of Indian cuisine.
Marhaba, my name is Jumana Al-Tamimi. I'm a Jordanian of Palestinian origin. I'm sharing with you my story with thyme, za'atar, which is famous in Palestine and Jordan. And I hope you will be able to smell it while reading my story. Thank you.
Buongiorno, I'm Gaia Moncada di Paternò. I was born in Italy, Sicily, Palermo. My story is Sicily, scent, taste, and traditions. And my recipe is an ancient pasta-based recipe called timballo alla palermitana. I hope that by the end of my story, you will feel a scent of Sicily and understanding of our traditions. Enjoy!
Hi, I'm Hanifa. I am Algerian living in Dubai for almost 40 years. My story is called The Gift That Keeps Giving. It's the relationship between the woman of my life and the olive tree. The semblance is resilience and abundant giving. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Riwa, and I'm Syrian American. My story's title is Summer Tasseography. I discuss the 3 different types of coffees and the stories that stem from coffee cup reading.
Good day, alle sammen. Hello, everybody. My name is Jenny Smerup Nielsen. I'm from Denmark. My chapter is called frikadella, which is the little small fried meatballs that is a very big part of the Danish kitchen and loved by big and small. I particularly associate this dish with my maternal grandmother, and this is what my story is about.
Vanakkam, I'm Deepa Vinay from India. My story, Pongalin Yezhu Curry Kootu Otrume in Suvai, translates to Pongal's 7 Curry Kootu, the taste of togetherness. With my story, I hope to take you through my culture, which I deeply cherish and continue to celebrate in Dubai.
Marhaba, I'm Hind Saeed. I'm an Iraqi New Zealander. My story is Dates the Time We Were Home. It's about the date season in Iraq. My recipes are about dates and how you eat date syrup with food.
Hi everyone, my name is Dina Spahi. I'm Syrian and American. The title of my story is A Tale of Two Tacos. In it, I share 2 recipes, one with a Southern California vibe and one with an Arab twist. And I hope that these 2 show you how 2 cultures can be bridged through food.
Bonjour, Sabah el Khair. My name is Keltumesh Barbarada. I'm Moroccan. My story title is Laylatul Qadr, and my recipe is called couscous with vegetables and couscous tfaya. My story will let you live the magic of that special day through the tradition of Morocco.
Masa al-Khair. Hello, my name is Nawal Shawi. I am Algerian and Italian. My story is Taqtar al-Zhar, which means the distillation of flowers. It is an anchored tradition in my mother's family. The story depicts my childhood experience of this annual spring ceremony.
Good afternoon, dear guests. Good afternoon, family, friends, and our dear guests, and all those ones who supported us all the way until today. I would like to welcome my co-authors who are here with us. Unfortunately, some could not make it. And we are going to share with you our enriching journey. It has been really a fantastic time. As the curator and the coordinator of this project, a co-author and your moderator today of this session, let me introduce the scope, the process of gathering the authors, and the goal of expanding the global tolerance through storytelling. Memorable Flavors is a collection of stories, recipes, anecdotes, and memories written by a diverse group of women from cultures as far apart as Syria, Palestine, Jordan, Algeria, and Iraq to India, Italy, China, Japan, USA, and Denmark. Women who have lived in interestingly diverse lives, imbibing traditions handed down from generations, and who today feel privileged to share their priceless inheritance with the world. How did this project start? Having lived in the UAE for over 20 years, mingling with different cultures, origins, and traditions has always made me feel like a fish in the water. Language and nationality or status were never a barrier for me to communicate with people. I always wondered, why can't the world learn from this experience of tolerance and mind openness? Then came the Minister of Tolerance. First time ever in my life I had heard of such a title. It reinforced my belief in the importance of tolerance to be able to live in peace and harmony and to learn from each other. Memorable Flavors is the first book of a series called Legacy. It is the appreciation and understanding of world culture and traditions. It depicts the importance of food in the writer's traditions and cultures and a common language that goes beyond who we are and where we come from. The aim of the book is to strongly inspire others to perpetuate the message of strength in diversity and spread this beautiful way of living throughout the world. Also, to encourage the transmission of this culture and traditions to the next generation to avoid the essence of our existence to be forgotten. The book consists of 12 sections. Each chapter has a distinct story of a specific region from different locations of the world. The number 12 symbolizes the months of the year, women through time. Each story is accompanied by one or more recipes and a glossary to explain ethnic terminology. Authentic photographs will provide local colors, bringing alive the nostalgia of days bygone, cultural traditions, and of course, delicious food. We engaged also young girls from the first international school in the UAE to participate in the design and in the pictures to cover the story's dividers, thereby involving the young generation in this project. Anyone who is interested in original, evocatively told multicultural stories and the social impact of sharing them and exchange of lesser-known authentic cultural events would find this book a joy to read. Thank you for being here, and now I come back to my co-authors. I'm not going to talk all the time, and we will start our conversation to share with you all what has happened through this year. I'm going to Anita. I don't know where you're sitting. Anita, let us start with you. There is nothing as beautiful as understanding. Let me try and help you. I have no clue. I think you just have to hold it and speak. So there's nothing as beautiful as understanding, respecting, and appreciating the diverse social and ethnic customs that surround us. Anita, tell us about your experience being in this journey with these 11 special ladies.
Very special ladies, I have to say. Thank you everyone for being here today, and thank you, Noel, for the lovely introduction. I should start by telling you that I was absolutely the very last entrant into this project. And by the time I was invited to participate, all these lovely ladies had finished writing their stories, had all their photographs in place, and Noel was like, "You have 2 days to do it." And I said, "Okay, no pressure." But I have seldom found a group as warm and welcoming as these lovely ladies. So it was really no pressure. I melded into the group beautifully, and it has been one of the most enriching experiences I've had, not only from the writing point of view, because I have written other books in the fiction genre, but this was a collaborative project, so very, very different. And I was so lucky that I had the opportunity to actually, each one of these ladies I have been exposed to on a very personal level, had a chance to peep into their homes and their culture, their ideas, and of course, their culinary traditions, which we are talking about in our book. So it was, as I said, a very interesting journey, but more so because during all the subsequent brainstorming sessions that I was a part of, there were coffee mornings and there were breakfast sessions, one of which was at Hanifa's house, where I tasted for the first time an Algerian breakfast with dishes I never knew existed. And that's where I realized that this whole experience is so much more than just writing. It's about forming a bond with cultures and traditions that I had had previously no exposure to. And through the process, I realized that our similarities actually far outweigh our cultural differences. And we who live in Dubai know this because we're exposed to so many cultures and so many different nationalities. But here I was seeing it at very close quarters. So when I talk about similarities, I would say Noel has written about extracting essences from flowers. We do that in India. We use rose water for cooking. Olive oil, which Hanifa has written about. She talks about it being used as a medicinal property, and we do the same. Deepa will back me up here with coconut oil, right? Gaia wrote beautifully about in season, they make the passata out of tomatoes, and all the women in the family are involved in this process. We do the same thing with pickles every year. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. We found so much to bond over, so much to talk about, and so much to pour into our stories. As Noel said, this is not a recipe book. We can get recipes from the internet from all over the world anytime. This goes beyond the recipe. It goes to the heart of the story, why it was created, the culture, the tradition, the family ties that go beyond all of this. So, yes, I would say very, very enriching experience. And I would like to thank all my lovely co-authors for this journey. It's been absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you. Thank you. Yanni, where is Yanni? There she is. Yanni, I picked you up for the experience and what motivated you because you were the most reluctant person to be joining, and you were terrorized and saying, how can I tell? What story are we going to talk about? We don't have any traditional food in our place. So I would love you to tell us more about it.
Yes, the motivation was personal. Like you said, I was a bit hesitant because I feel that, like some cultures, Indian and especially, they have other cultures have a lot of traditions and rituals around their traditions that I don't feel we have in Denmark. But when you dig a little deeper, then we do, just in other ways, of course. So it's a personal challenge also to write a chapter in a book. And it was a good challenge. And I think you pushed me a little bit saying, come on, you need to do this now. Yes, okay, let's do it. And it was a beautiful journey. So my motivation was also to join the group of these lovely ladies because it's diverse, like you said. We learned a lot from each other. And also the message it brings, this is also a big motivation for me. And we all have memories around, for this example, food. And even though we are from very different cultures, but at the same time we find that these memories around these traditions brings about some human, I would say general human feelings like love and appreciation and nostalgia, admiration for the people in our lives. And these are all, I would say, very human feelings, which brings us back to that we are not as different, like you said, Anita, as maybe sometimes we would feel, especially when you hear to some people or some certain groups in the world or wherever we are that would like to bring this agenda. We would like to go the opposite way, right?
Absolutely.
to say that we actually have a lot in common. And when you get to know other people, when you get to understand where they come from, you actually build bridges. And this is very important to us, I would feel. It brings about a more, I would hope, a peaceful coexistence. And it's a big message to try to bring about, but I think we did a good try.
We get there.
Yeah.
Thank you. To the beautiful women who gave us, who were our, we looked up to. And this collection of memories that we wrote is a testament for these, and our gratitude for those women. Not that we forgot the men, of course. The men have had a big impact in our, and influenced our life. I'll start with Hanifa on this. Hanifa, you compared women of your family to an olive tree. Could you tell us more about it?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Yes, indeed, I wrote in my story about the woman in my family, those significant women, the pillar of our family, and I think it's the same case in all families all over the world. So I chose to write about the olive tree because it reminds me of the women of my family with their strength, their force, their abundant giving, unconditionally and unconditionally. So those women who try very hard to keep the traditions going through generation and generation, and they made sure that we transmitted to our daughter and granddaughter. So this is the main point I insist on my story, this similarity, this semblance with the olive tree, which gives eternally. And this is the same for the family of the woman of my family. And also the similarity with all the women over the world. They all have tradition to transmit. They have values, principles, and this, let's say, endless teaching they are doing is common in all cultures with all women over the globe. So that's why I chose the olive tree. So, and also the use of the olive itself as a medicinal treatment and also as a culinary use. And we use olive oil with love as it was transmitted to us with love.
I would say the love of our mothers and the love of those women is medicine, like the olive oil would be a medicine, for us. So it's more than that. Deepa, you said, there is no curry to be compared to my mother's. In your story, gratitude is very obvious for your mother's role in keeping the tradition, but also you chose to write about a celebration in your country, which is a celebration of gratitude.
Good evening to all. Yes, now gratitude has become such a
big part of all of lives, and I would like to start with being grateful to this group. And you would have noticed all our accents, the way we dress up, are so different, but yet there's a common warmth in all of our voices and the stories we'd like to say. So that's what you'll find in our book as well. So we grew up with gratitude quite weaved into our culture. It was not taught, separately that we need to be grateful for this or that. I know now everybody focuses on how we should be grateful every single day when we wake up and so on and so forth. But as a child, I remember we had this early morning ritual of drawing the rangoli or the kolam, as we say, with rice flour outside the house. We clean the entrance and we start the day in the wee hours of the morning. And fortunately, we didn't have devices to be distracted, so we used to go sit next to our mothers, and they used to draw them so effortlessly. So I thought once I become a mother, I would probably automatically have the skill to do that once I have the tag of being a mom, but unfortunately, no. You had to learn it or probably practice it along with your mothers. But what I'm trying to say here is it wasn't, we weren't forced to do these things. We were, and then when they did the ritual of the rangoli, they did tell us that we're doing it with the rice flour so that the little tiny ants and the little birds can feed on them. And so I think the nature and being grateful and caring for the environment and everything was so inbuilt in our culture. It wasn't like we had to learn it separately. And I'm very grateful that I was part of such a culture. And when we were having our discussions on what we are all going to speak about, I was casually mentioning it was around the time of Pongal, which is our harvest festival, which comes around the second week of January. And, everybody kind of were touched with the story of how there's a festival, for gratitude. So it means, you're grateful first to the gods of rain and the sun who give you a good harvest. And the second day, you're grateful to the farmers who have given you the grains. And then you go on to be grateful to the birds and the bees for cross-pollination and so on and so forth. So, so my entire story is all about how grateful I am to my culture, to my mother in specific. And I speak about the Festival of Gratitude as well.
Great, thank you. Well, looking back and treasuring the past, make the most of the present and enrich our future, embracing diversity. I would like to go now to the authors in our group who have lived out of their country most of their life, but still come back to visit it. So, where is Riwa? Riwa is here. Riwa, you lived out of your native country, which is Syria, since you were a child, but you still visited regularly. Can you tell us about the summers in Syria?
Yes, thank you, Nawal. For me, I actually never lived in the Middle East before I moved to Dubai. However, all my summers growing up were spent in Damascus, Syria, with my grandparents. And this allowed me to learn the language, the deep-rooted culture, traditions. And a part of those were actually revolved around coffee drinking. And I remember the summer of when I turned 15, I was fascinated to learn that I could tell my future, I could tell, of my fortune through Turkish coffee cups. And, through that, I learned that there are different types of coffees, but the one that was the most popular was the Turkish coffee. And I learned to decipher those symbols, and I became an expert at the swirling of the cup and then turning it over and then the making a wish ceremony. So that was like a whole other world for me that summer. And through that kind of enjoyment, I learned to appreciate everything from our culture. And which I think a lot of that kind of education or cultural aspects we don't always have today, given the very fast-paced lives we live, and people don't have as much time to teach their kids these kinds of cultural nuances or aspects that are very traditional. So I felt very lucky at that time. And I would like to read out a poem that I dedicated to my late grandmother. Long ago, our summer smelled like fragrant fruits and jasmine, a carefree childhood with lots of wonders to imagine, where fortunes were read in Tete's coffee cups. Now we are without you, nothing tastes the way it used to.
So we have not only writers, but also coffee cup reading, poets, and just name it. Everything is in here at the potential of these ladies. Now I'll move to Italy, Sicily. I would like to ask you, first of all, I would like to say your name properly. I know you don't like it, but I will do it. Princess Gaia Moncada di Paternò. You took us to Sicily, to Palermo, your hometown, where you still cherish the big family gatherings, the Christmas preparations. Specifically, in your family, your aristocratic title entails formal discipline. Did this have an impact on your integration in the different parts of the world where you lived?
Discipline? Are you sure? No. I didn't have very strong discipline. I was very spoiled. No, but no jokes. Of course, there was discipline, but that was only when we went back home. And especially when I was back in my grandmother's home, there you had to be more careful about the discipline. But otherwise, we were children and running around. And I lived in Sicily only my first early years, and afterwards I left. But the traditions is what keeps your identity. The traditions is our DNA. It's in our heart and stays there. So I think that even if I left very early, I would come back every time to Sicily to visit my grandmother and go through all the traditions, which were always also kept in my family when we were abroad. I grew up in a beautiful ambiance. My grandmother had a beautiful palace with beautiful objects and arts, which all was absorbed in my culture and taught me how to appreciate beauty in every single thing and how to appreciate elegance. And that stayed always with me. But let's go back to traditions. As I said, traditions are our DNA. No matter where we go, we keep them with us. And I lived many places. I lived in Tokyo, I lived in Rio de Janeiro, and England, and now Dubai. All these places gave me a lot, and they made me a different person from the one that left Sicily. But still, the identity stayed, the culture stayed, and that is what, for me, is very important. To be able to transmit to the others, like my mother did to me, I will do it with my son, and I will hope that he will be able to transfer all our traditions to his family, and to let all our friends understand Italy and our traditions. That's what I try to do with my story, telling me about the past, about the future, and the present. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was looking for you, Dina. Dina, you embrace you embrace several cultures. And bridging those cultures through food is not new to you. This is, if we read your story, this is absolutely not new. How easy or difficult was it to be able to put them together? And would you like your kids to be able to do so?
Yes, hello, good evening. When I first embarked on this journey, it was just to work with these lovely women and to share 2 recipes that I actually do prepare on a regular basis. And when I was first asked to then go further and look back at my childhood and see and look to the influence of my culture, I thought I wouldn't be able to do it. Growing up in California in the 70s and 80s was a true melting pot. And I said, I don't have these rich traditions. But this project allowed me to really focus and look back, and I caught them. I caught being with my grandparents, because I was very fortunate to be with my 4 grandparents who had moved to California with us from Aleppo, Syria. And I realized that they imparted all our traditions seamlessly. So I had Mexican influences, Japanese, believe it or not, French also, Southern California heavily influenced, Armenian, Iranian by the late 70s, and unbeknownst to me, until this project, they all influenced my life, my cuisine, and my outlook for the future. So I think I was very fortunate to have that. And I feel even more fortunate that I'm raising my kids now in Dubai, which I feel is the Southern California of the 70s, with all the different cultures here. I make sure to now share all my traditions with my kids from Syria and from California, including, you'll see in my recipe, I have Baja California tacos. And this was a beautiful journey for me because I did not realize how much the previous generations had influenced me until I embarked on this. And it reminds me of one of my favorite quotes, which is, it takes a village to raise a child. And in my case, it was a big city, but the result, I think, is the same. And I feel that now with our children, my children at least, this city is really helping me raise my child.
Thank you. Jumana, I'm coming to you. Before I ask you the question, Jumana, I would like to mention a quote from Amin Malouf's book talking about identity. And the book is In the Name of Identity, that was published in 1998. It says, identity isn't given once and for all. It is built up and changes throughout a person's lifetime. Not many of the elements that go to make our identity are already in us at birth. Do you agree, Jumana, with this? And what do you have to tell us about it?
Well, I don't have the dare to say to someone like Amin Malouf, no, I don't agree. Of course I agree. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. And absolutely, I agree with Amin Malouf. But first, I would like to stress something. I wrote about za'atar, green thyme, and I don't mean that it is only for the Palestinians or for the Jordanians of Palestinian origin. Za'atar is very popular across the Levant countries, and it is known across the region. So it's for the whole region. But maybe it has a different importance to the Palestinians and to the Arabs of Palestinian origin because of several factors. Maybe the taste. The taste, according to many people from Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, well, the Jordanian thyme is also very close to the Palestinian one, but the taste is different. And this is, I am sure of, because of my friends who always ask me to bring them za'atar whenever I travel to Jordan.
I do.
So
I don't know, is it the terrain? Is it the mountains? Is it the weather? Is it the environment? The soil is the same across the Levant almost. The weather is almost the same. I'm not sure, as many would explain, that you have grapes in France, you have grapes in Italy, and every region has a different taste. Is it the blow of the wind, which direction it goes? Is it how long they are subjected to the sunlight? I'm not sure. I'm not an expert in this. But I know it has a different taste, the one that is coming from Palestine and Jordan. And also, you mentioned mothers.
I'll go back to the za'atar if you don't mind.
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's because also it's close to your heart.
Oh, maybe, yeah. And also it was close to my mother's heart. She used to say that no one, whether you lived in Palestine or not, and you have a Palestinian blood, you can't but love za'atar. You'll find it on every breakfast table. It can't be missed. It's part of the tradition, the cuisine, the culture, and I don't know, maybe many recipes were developed and evolved over za'atar as well. We prepare it in different forms and types. And interestingly, the pure, the organic, the expensive za'atar is given by nature in natural environment. There is no human intervention in the pure, expensive ones. So thank you for letting me part of this wonderful group. By the way, I joined the group by coincidence. Maybe later I can tell you how and when.
I will tell the story how we met. I think, yeah, I will.
It was a very enriching
This.
experience. It was a very enriching. Thank you very much.
We were on the beach, and I was the only one having a watch, and then I was speaking with Hanifa in French, and we are approached by, in this middle of the water, I'm approached by Jumana and go, do you know, what time is it? And I answer in English and said, why are you speaking French? Are you French? I said, no, we're Algerian. I'm Palestinian. I said, oh, okay, Palestinian, Jordanian. I said, oh, okay, then we come out and I invite her to sit on my chair, and I was being very curious. I need to know to speak to everyone. I started asking her questions, and this is how we ended up writing the story together. And call it chance, call it no chance, it's by chance, I don't know. But you meet people and they become dear to you. There is, yes, nothing is random. Absolutely. I cannot have another co-author with us in this room without making her say a word. I'll take the mic up to you. Bibi is not feeling well today, and she made the great effort to come and join us. She really wanted to be with us. So not being on the stage, but being in the room, it's a must. I just would love one of the mics to go to Bibi, please, if you don't mind. She's sitting over there. Well, I can give you one here. She's there. I saw you, Bibi. You could not hide from me. Nice to have you with us, Bibi.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you for making the effort to come all the way.
Yeah, I have to. It's always teamwork. Everybody has to be here and support each other. That is most of the things I learned since I joined this group. I'm very glad to be in a part of this book. And thank you, Nawal, giving me such a good opportunity. Of course, I have a very international background, probably everybody already knows. But never been write a book is my first experience, and I really, really, truly appreciate you give me this opportunity. Thank you.
Well, we don't want to keep too long the conversation because being a conversation, we would love to have it also with our audience today. So I will give the floor to the questions. If you have any questions, we are many here, so I'm sure you have many questions. Please, the floor is open to you. We'll give you the mics. You okay. I don't know if this one works.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Sorry, my name's Julie, and first of all, I just want to say I've been so touched by what a beautiful group you are. Absolutely amazing. The relationship that you've clearly built up is just fabulous. I'd like to invite you all over, actually, together.
We will also cook if you want.
Well, I'm really so not a traditionalist. I'm from England, and I'm really not a traditionalist. So I was really interested to hear about all of your traditions that have been passed down through generations and so on, which was just so lovely. What I'd like to ask is, we've heard a tiny little snippet of all of your backgrounds and your traditions and so on. Have you ever thought about collectively, you've got a book, but have you ever thought about collectively doing something like a food fest where you can each have, an hour session, each of you have an hour session rather than just a tiddy little time? So that's my question. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much for your contribution and for the question. Yes, we did. We want to do a session where we will cook, all of us, our food, and all of you will be our judge and say what you think about it. So for sure, it's going to be in our plans.
I'm sorry, before we go on with the questions, I forgot to say a word about the two authors who are missing today. Hend, and you've seen them, Hend and Nina. They are abroad, they couldn't make it, but I made them make a video for the audience. So I really want to play the two videos, very short ones for you, to meet them, even if they are not here.
Hi everyone, I'm sorry I couldn't join you by person, but thanks to Nawal and to the festival to give me the chance to talk from where I am. My story is the time we were. It's about the date harvesting season. Dates and palm trees are very important in Iraqi culture, and dates is very important in Iraqi diet. Palm trees considered as a holy tree, and the dates as a main nutrition for the Iraqi people from old age, from old time. So I talked about harvesting in our home, that how was important, and the importance of keeping the dates to winter, because at that time in the 60s and 70s, there were no dates in winter. So every family have to preserve their own dates for the winter time. So the process, it takes a few days between washing, cleaning, and of course, each kind of date have its own way of preserving, and also what to eat it, when to eat it, and with what to eat it. I also talked about some ways we eat dates, and also the date syrup, which also is a very important. So part of the preserving time, we also do date syrup from the dates. So by boiling the dates and doing all the requirement, and then having date syrup to eat it, especially in winter, because it's a heavy food. One of the things I think a lot of people, especially the ladies who shared with me the experience of writing the book, is about eating date syrup and tahini. So try that and tell me what you think about it. Also, is date syrup with eggs, and of course we eat dates with eggs, with yogurt, with anything actually you can think of. So I hope you enjoy some small recipes and small direction of how to eat dates and date syrup with the food. Thank you all.
This video from Istanbul. Even the weather is grey and raining, but not as our book is shining. And first, before, I want just to thank Nawal, the leader of our team, and to give me the chance to be a part of this beautiful group of ladies, amazing ladies. to honor and honor my grandmothers that I didn't have the chance to say goodbye. So it's my way to honor them and to say thank you. So Laylatul Qadr, the magic night, the beautiful night, the holy night in Ramadan, which is the 26th to the 27th of Ramadan. My story is about this night and how we are celebrating, how are the festivities during this day, since the beginning of the day to the evening, or al-Fajr. Salamun hiya hatta matla'i al-Fajr.
Thank you. We come back to the questions. Please just raise your hands so that we can give you the mic. No questions? You're not curious? You don't know what happened? Yes? They can bring the mic to you if you want. It's okay.
Hi, it's really nice to attend such an inspiring session by all of you all. When women meet, it's a celebration, I honestly feel, and this is such a huge celebration, so a big round of applause to you guys. I just wanted to find out, how did you all meet? How did this whole thing happen? I mean, it must have been quite a... so it's all because of...
Long story.
Right.
I will tell you that the lady to thank is this one here, and Noelle has immense drive, and she's got this ability to get a group of people together and have them all on the same page. And while we are extremely bonded and very close now, I can tell you that 12 women together is quite a handful. and she managed us beautifully. So I would say kudos and credit to Noelle for this.
Well, I always, as we say in Arabic, it's one hand doesn't clap. I mean, it's only all of us that we could have made it. Without them, without one missing, it wouldn't have happened. So it's been such a beautiful, enriching experience, really.
Allow me to say something, also to add something. This project took us almost 2 years. If it wasn't for Noelle's positive energy, believe in what she was doing, we wouldn't be here. It took us 2 years, honestly, and there were so ups and downs, and different obstacles, but thanks to her and to her efforts, we made it. Thanks.
Well, thank you. I don't think it was me. I think it was believing in what the message we wanted to give, and believing in what we wanted to do. And it was very easy, because once you touch the feelings and you touch your family, you touch your memories, everyone in this room, everyone in the world, there is nothing called, oh, I don't have a past, I forgot, and I'm starting a new life. This is not true. Even if we don't remember them and we don't recall anything, once you see or you eat something, or you even smell something, and you have a memory that comes out. So it is impossible for us. So I think the subject was easy to get together women, and it could get anyone on this globe and on Earth, because we all have a story to tell. So it was not so difficult.
I'd like to add that she makes it seem so effortless, because she saw only the strengths in each person, and she spoke only about our strengths whenever we met. So everything that we lacked just went in the background. So when I see any particular person, I can only associate them with the strengths that Noelle associates them with. So I think that was one very important quality that I have tried to learn from her, to see only the best in everybody and say how to make it work with all of us. You can imagine, 12 of us, different ages, different cultures, how crazy it would have been.
It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. Any other curiosity? Yes, please.
No, I just wanted to ask that,
having heard of the process, creation is one part. The second part is when you've got to put it together and edit. You're telling personal stories. How difficult or easy was it to edit them? Because somebody had to take a call on, is it good enough? Is it first draft, second draft, third draft? So how did you do that?
Good question. We, first of all, wrote in our own language, in our native language. We had the freedom. It is impossible for me to express my feelings in English or in whatever, a language that I learned at school. So we all wrote in our own language. When we had common grounds, like common language, I read Gaia's story because it was written in Italian. Hanifa read my story because it was in French, and I read hers. And whatever was in common ground, we edited each other's, and we were very rough, we were very complicated, difficult with each other's, because I really needed the story to touch. I personally didn't care about the language itself, what we used, because it would have been edited by a professional. That was not the goal of it. The first step was to be able to express those memoirs and the memories through, people would see them through our eyes. So this was the first draft. And any story was as beautiful as the other, because it was anyway a memory with feelings more than describing a picture. So that was the first draft, and this is how. And then step by step, we started, developing. We started with one paragraph. It was very little, and then I had, of course, some, exchanges. Some would say, I can't write more. I don't have any ideas. And then, yeah, exactly. And some said, I'll stop here. I'm not going ahead. Anyway, but it was a long process, but a very interesting one. That's why we know each other's stories by heart.
First, I wanted to say this is such a beautiful union of women, of history, of culture, and thank you all for sharing it with us. It's really, I don't know about the audience, but I'm hungry, and I wish you had samples of food. Thank you. You all you've designed this book according to your history and your memory with your families and where you grew up. Is there anything you would do differently when you're passing it on to the next generation or share with them, whether it's your daughters, your nieces, your friends' children? Is there anything any of you would do even differently with any of the recipes?
I think so, yeah. It will be different.
Yes, we will keep the traditions going, for sure, with the same love, with the same enthusiasm, but maybe with less complication, because life getting easier. So it will not be hard to perpetuate the traditions, but with different tools in a different circumstances, but make sure the core of it is transmitted to the new generation coming.
Yeah, just that.
I spoke in the beginning, I didn't mention what my story was about. It's basically about the coastal seafood of India from the region around Goa and Maharashtra. And I agree that things should be simplified, but there's certain recipes that have to be done the hard way. And my aunt is sitting here, who's an amazing cook, and she'll tell you that there's no shortcut to doing it the right way. So as far as my perpetuation to the next generation would go, I'd say do it exactly by the book.
Do you want to say something?
I also think that everyone, when they do a recipe, they slightly change it. So of course, each one of us will put our own touch to the recipe. And as Anita said, we always follow the tradition, but the touch is the magic touch of the hand that does it. And my plate is a Sicilian plate, an antique recipe, which originates, imagine, from the Arabs. And it's called anelletti alla palermitana, which is a round dish, which meant to be the earrings of the ladies.
That's how they did this pasta. And you can find it only in Sicily, nowhere in Italy but Sicily. And of course, all the way when you cook it is everyone follows a recipe. And I followed mine, and I did a different, the vegetarian side. So I did a version which is vegetarian, which was done by me. So that's the little twist that I gave to my recipe. Yeah.
Well, if my mother sees me cooking her dishes, I think she would just pull off her hair. I never cooked like my mom cooks, and I would never do, because it takes her hours and hours in the kitchen. So I definitely cook the dishes of my mom. My kids eat them and they're happy, but they don't know how I do it, because if I see it, they would say, sometimes the trick doesn't work, because they would say, it doesn't really taste like mommy's ones. And I go like, the ingredients are different and blah, blah. So I'm not expecting my boys to be cooking what my mother was cooking. But the thing the important thing to me is when I cook a special dish that my mom cooks, and they open the door from the outside, they will tell you, they start smelling and they guess immediately the dish I've cooked. So that was my point. I would never force them, nobody. I hated cooking. So I think because I saw my mother and my grandmother spending so much time, I would say, why should we spend so much time cooking something and we eat it in 5 minutes? Because I never had put the value into the gathering, into the scope of that cooking. So I wrote about the rose water and the water blossom. For me, it is a whole ceremony. We used to go, and it was days and days of festivities. The kids have never seen this. But when they smell the rose water or the flower blossom water in the house, they will say, it smells like mommy's house. So for me, that is more than enough. Yes.
With the beautiful memories that you ladies have created, have you decided to travel which country first to know more about and go dig deeper, like Sicily, or are you planning India? Is your next set of
Which countries have we decided to travel to experience these?
All of them. All of them. Oh yeah. Yes. Yes. No, we're planning to make a tour into this country. So I say it openly now. My husband is here so that he gets ready, and the boys are used to not see me so often. So yes, we will make a tour and try all of it. But first, the tour will be made in Dubai. We will try and cook this in Dubai, and then we have, these fantastic ambassadors who are going to tell us about all the details. And then we start traveling. Don't worry, we will go around. We have time.
We're talking about the tradition that we value, so we can share it even being in the same spot. No need to travel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we will have the last question here because we are running out of time.
Hi, my name is Aisha and I'm Yenny's daughter. Basically, what inspired you to make this story and book? Like, what inspired you?
Well, I talked a little bit about the motivation, but I must say that actually I also had my children in mind, to leave some kind of small legacy, we would say, that you could keep, that you could look at in years to come, maybe grandchildren or whatever we're lucky to have. So this is actually, also a great reason I joined anyway, and I think we all would love to leave some kind of footprint in the world. Yeah.
Well, for me, it was a little more personal, I guess. I wanted to preserve a little bit of my childhood memories. And I felt that, I guess as you're growing older, you get taken up by the day-to-day routine, the kids, the family, work, etc. And we tend to forget
a lot of our childhood memories or the details or the fun moments we had, especially if you know, certain individuals are no longer around. And to me, it was very personal because I was able to preserve these memories. Thank you.
Well, on this beautiful note of preserving and evolving, I would like to close the session. It's time to say goodbye. Before we end the session, I would like to thank our sponsors who made this happen. I would like to thank our families who have stood with us and who, we went through times where we were too busy for them. And they have encouraged us, our husbands, our kids, or our families, and our friends who have been the super supporters, and we really appreciate it. And I would like to thank our main and first supporter. His picture was here. I tricked you. Engineer Mohammed Al-Afkham, who has been so generous with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being always with us. We will always surprise you. We will always be continuing our mission of this legacy, and a lot of surprises will come up. The book signing, we are here to sign your books. The books are outside available, so we will be signing your books with great pleasure, and say goodbye. Thank you very much.